Hello and welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds, I'm Nerdic Steve, and today I'm hanging out with Hello Operator from TikTok. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Hi, it's great to be here.
It's great to have you on. I've been enjoying your TikTok videos for a while now, so I was happy that we could connect and have you on. Um, if you'd be so kind to kind of introduce yourself and tell people a little bit about what you do.
Yeah, sure. I've been enjoying you guys for years now on YouTube. So I was tickled pink when you guys invited me on here. Um, so I've been using TikTok just a lot to talk about Pathfinder and stuff, and then I started picking up a little bit of a following. So I've enjoyed that. I live stream D&D on every Friday at twitch.tv/the Trauma Club. And every Sunday, I just started a new project at twitch.tv/creative crits. And yeah, I make a lot of D&D TikTok videos where apparently hi has become my catchphrase, which was never intended.
It just happened.
I I said it a few times like when I first started out and then I stopped doing it
Yeah.
and people called me out for not doing it. So it's just a thing now.
So, is Pathfinder your game of choice now?
Pathfinder's where I cut my teeth.
Okay.
I got my first ever tabletop RPG was Pathfinder. Um, and I ran a Pathfinder game for like 3-4 years when I lived in Virginia. But between the two, I would say that Pathfinder is probably my favorite to play. 5e is by far my favorite to DM, just because the rules are so much simpler.
I've heard that quite a bit. Like when people are like, "Yeah, give me like I like playing Pathfinder," and like if you like to tinker with characters and building characters and really get in there in the nuts and bolts, then yeah, Pathfinder is probably a lot more rewarding. Um, but if you don't want to argue with players about about the rules and what can be done and can't be done, D&D is probably a lot simpler as well. Also, a lot of other games as well.
I can 100% agree with that. I feel like you could play Pathfinder every single day for the rest of your life, roll a brand new character, and never play the same thing twice. However, I don't off the top of my head remember the difference between sick and nauseated and like all the like 40 different conditions, and it's +4 to this, -2 to that. The rules are complex. They call it Mathfinder for a reason.
Yeah. So, yeah, have you been playing? Have you played the second edition?
I jumped in on the playtest, and I enjoyed it. There were some things that I didn't like, and apparently they've changed the things that I didn't like, but I
Yeah.
haven't really had a chance to hop on it since. I played Starfinder. Starfinder was great, and I think Starfinder was like they're testing the waters to see if people would like a second edition.
Well, I guess the thing with Starfinder, well, like what I heard was, like Gen Con was coming up and they needed something to launch,
Hmm.
so they kind of did it on a whim, and then it started incorporating like the things that they wanted to change. They started changing with Starfinder, and then that was part of the evolution to their second edition.
Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. They came out with Pathfinder Unchained, which was one of the later books for Pathfinder First Edition, and it had like a very nuts and bolts version of the 3 action economy that they use in Pathfinder 2 and a couple of other things. So they were already thinking about it, but by the time that came out, there was already so much just content bloat and everything else that it was really trying to, the horse was already out of the barn. You couldn't get it back in. They had to start from scratch.
Yeah, I played in a stream game. We must have played at least a half a dozen sessions overall, master of the game, and that was my first real exposure to 2e Pathfinder. It was fun. I mean, I enjoyed making the character and doing the stuff. What is the app? There's an app for it that like I feel like you should not even think about playing without using the app to build the character. But D&D Beyond is spoiling me too. It's like I don't even want to play other games if there's that don't have the software support, because it just makes life so much easier.
I will say that, especially since I've started doing TikToks and I've started meeting like other creators, I have started branching out a little bit. I've been introduced to new game systems, and some of them are pretty interesting. Again, with supporting software, buddy of mine ran a game for Savage Worlds, and you built your character within fantasy grounds. That one was really, really interesting. I didn't know exploding dice was a thing. Oh, I can't hear you, my friend.
Let's try
Oh,
this.
there we go. Perfect. Oh, lost you again.
All right, how about
Oh,
that?
I hear you now.
Yeah. So yeah, I keep trying to keep muting and unmuting myself because of stupid buzzer that
Oh, the
goes
beep.
off. Yeah. Um, so we were playing a game called Open Legend,
Okay.
um, that had exploding dice in it, and that was like kind of like our first experience with it. And I just think as a dice nerd and a gaming nerd, exploding dice is super fun. Even though I kind of like complain about not having software, we still play a lot of games where it doesn't exist for. Mutants and Masterminds was like one of the first games that we kind of used software for. That was Hero Lab had a version for it, and also like that game is um so like front loaded as far as character creation, and then it gets real simple to play, especially if you're
Mm.
familiar with D20. You almost like need it, and you almost needed software or an app or something to build your characters.
I'm trying to think. There's another game that somebody tried to get me into that again had like a this super involved character creation. Um, oh, it's gonna bug me not being able to think of the name of it.
What genre
Um,
was it?
so it was like this post. It was futuristic. You
Yeah,
picked your race right off the bat, and then you picked you rolled for how well you did in school, and then it was whether you joined the military, you went to college, or you just worked. And like every single choice you made advanced your age by a couple of years. You could die in character creation.
Traveler. It's got to be
Yes,
Traveler.
it's Traveler. Yes, thank you.
I've never played it, but I've like heard stories.
I've never played it, but I've made so many characters. I've died probably more times in Traveler than I have any other game system, and I've never gotten past character creation.
Yeah, that's that's funny. Like, so I guess the older I get, the more I'm into like rules light games.
Mm.
Um, like right now, I'm running a Monster of the Week game. Anything powered by the apocalypse, I'm there for. 2d6. It's generally the same. You get a couple of stats, and the playbook system is so easy.
I'm a terrible nerd. For the longest time, I thought Monster of the Week was just a Reddit where somebody made like this really cool homebrew monster, and hey, have your party fight. I didn't know it was its own thing, and apparently it's got a huge fall. I've been hearing and seeing it all over the place. I've never
Yeah.
dabbled with it, but it sounds amazing.
It is. It's a ton of fun, but also Monster of the Week is also a style play, right? So I can see why that could be confusing as well. I've definitely seen different YouTube videos talking about Monster of the Week, but it's not the game; it's the style of play.
Mm.
And that style of play really just follows any kind of like those shows where it's like Buffy or Supernatural, anything like that. Scooby Doo even would fall in that category. But yeah, so we're running a monster. I'm running a Monster Week game where they're like a para government organization that investigates the paranormal and spooky stuff, which is a lot of fun. Like half of my game prep is like searching urban legends in our area.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I've played used to play a lot of Call of Cthulhu,
Uh,
and I knew my players did not watch Supernatural. I have straight up yoinked plots from that show because it works so well with the game.
it does, and also if you're playing a game where you're like, are my players going to show up this week? Like, who's showing up, and you don't know, and like having an episodic game does like remove a lot of stress from being a DM and make life a lot easier. It's
Mhm.
harder for overarching plots, but in the short term, it's much simpler.
We actually play one on our trauma club stream whenever like a couple of the major or whenever a couple of people can't make it. And the whole concept is like this pantheon of gods that personify the different virtues have been corrupted. So the last time only two or three of us could make it, we fought the this corrupted god of sloth, I think it was. I don't know. It had a lot of tentacles, and we kept it in a force cube and pelted it with Eldritch Blast. It was terrifying.
I've actually not. I haven't played Call of Cthulhu yet. You've mentioned that. It's on my list. I haven't gotten around to it. I also
Oh,
want to play some Savage Worlds. I haven't gotten around to it. At the end of the day, there's just like far too many games and not enough time.
Call of Cthulhu is one of my absolute favorites because you're not it. You have to come into it with a fresh mindset. Because if you're playing D&D or Savage Worlds or all these other systems, you're used to being a paladin or a wizard or this warrior. Where in Call of Cthulhu, you're a teacher or a chef or the town drunk, and a shotgun to the chest, just you're done. That's your character. Roll another one.
Well, and also too, like having read a bunch of the Lovecraft stuff, I'm like, it's in D&D you play a game where you kill monsters. In the Call of Cthulhu mythos, you're just trying to survive.
Yeah, 100%. So last when I lived in Virginia, we used to run an annual Halloween game, and I started picking up different things, different like urban legends and stuff. And there's one of a mummy that was transported on the Titanic. So I told my players to roll, hey, super rich characters. You can be, singers, musicians, great writers, whatever you want to do. And all I told them was that you're going on a cruise.
Uh huh.
And they didn't realize until they boarded that they were on the Titanic.
Oh, that's so good.
And yeah, they met this just they had like they all had one common friend that kind of brought them all together, and he had the mummy, and they found out that he had been like attaching leads to it to this little crank electricity generator to shock it so he could try to speak to it, and he woke it up. So as the ship, like maybe an hour before it hits the iceberg, this thing wakes up. And not only are they trying to get out of the ship because it's sinking, but also like this Scooby Doo chase scene trying to get away from the mummy. It was beautiful.
Yeah, I didn't know that was a thing. I might have to use that now because that is too
Totally a
good.
thing. Totally a thing.
Uh, yeah.
It was really, really fun. My wife, love her to death. She actually made the full, like, oh God, I think it was like 7 or 8 course meal,
Uh huh.
based on the menu that they provided for, like, they served the last night of the Titanic's voyage. So she made this full meal and was like serving it during the game. It's probably the, like, aesthetically the greatest game I've ever run.
That
So I got
sounds
myself a little
awesome.
top hat and a costume. It was great.
Is your wife a gamer?
She is. She is. We actually met because she was looking for somebody to play League of Legends with.
Okay. League of Legends. I have not traveled those waters in quite a few years.
It's I I've traveled those waters a little bit more since the Panini happened.
Uh,
Um, but God, I miss home games. I haven't run a home game in so long.
what did you
Ha-
think of the League of Legends crossover that briefly happened?
uh, I enjoyed I enjoy the Magic the Gathering crossover that's currently happening.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, I like that they're bringing more things in. Is one of my biggest things against 5e when I first started playing was that it didn't have, like, there were probably 70 different characters that you could roll and that was it. But like Pathfinder, where I came from, had like 10, 15 years worth of content to pull from. I am not upset that we are getting more content. I don't care where it comes from. As long as it's moderately balanced, it's more options and it opens things up.
Yeah, I actually prefer a lot of the I'm not even a Magic the Gathering player, but I prefer that stuff because at least, like, to me, it's at least new and refreshing. compared to like just regurgitating one of the plethora of campaign settings from the past, like Greyhawk or Dragonlance, and I'm like, you can find those books, you can get that information. We don't need the rules for this.
I will say so, and I think it, I've only been playing for, I don't know, like 13, 14 years,
Uh,
which seems like a while, but not in the grand scheme of things, especially when you start talking to players who like started in like second and first edition. Um, I'm really excited they just released a UA that has Spelljammer content in it.
yeah,
Because Spelljammer is something I've never had the ability or never had the chance to experience, but it sounds really cool.
yeah. It's funny because I never played Spelljammer when it was coming out. It wasn't until years later that we started running like a. I had started running a annual Spelljammer game, the Thanksgiving Eve, and
Mhm.
we had done it. I'd done it for like, I don't know, 2 or 3 years in a row, and then Ted did it for 1 year. Um, and it was, we ran it with 5e, but really it was just like, it was more like just 5e in space than anything, and just like dressed it up a little bit.
That's kind of like just reading what I have, what it felt like. It was a very, how can we do this without making our own futuristic setting,
Yeah.
without
Well,
changing
so
absolutely everything?
we had run a game on the channel called Ingest Quest. And it was like very food inspired, but it was also a Spelljammer game.
Okay.
And we had run it. I think we did 12 episodes on the channel. Yeah, Nerdator Doug had run it, and we recently did like the spiritual successor to that game, which we ran through the Quest RPG.
Okay.
So it was very like, even that one, like they're just very loosely Spelljammer, right? Like we're just going for kind of like the feel more than the mechanics and worrying about all the nuts and bolts, how everything works. Just yeah, it's just about sailing ships through space.
I and I enjoy taking a different approach. Like most of the tabletops I play are fantasy. I
Yeah.
am woefully devoid of sci-fi tabletops. I think I played the Star Wars tabletop once, many moons ago. Um, I've I've only gotten a chance to play Starfinder a handful of times, but it just sounds like such an amazing just genre to branch into.
Yeah, so I guess like when I first started, like TSR put out, they put out like a game for every genre basically. Like
Mhm.
Top Secret was espionage, and um Star Frontiers, what someone mentioned in the chat, was science fiction, and post apocalyptic. They had Gamma World, Marvel superheroes, the phase rip system. So like we dabbled in all of those for at least a session or two, back in the day, and it is kind of cool to see some of that stuff come back. I think some of it is on the DM's Guild. Like you can, like I
Oh, I'm
think you can get
sure.
all the Star Frontier stuff like printed in a book, from print on demand.
That's one of the reasons why I really like seventh edition Call of Cthulhu. Because I mean, yes, the genre is going to be horror, but it's really age or era agnostic. You swap out some skills here or there, or adjust for inflation. But I've played it in the modern era. There's an Achtung Cthulhu setting where you're still playing with the same rules, but you're essentially fighting against like this occult, like Hydra, really, group of Nazis who are trying to summon Cthulhu to win the
Yeah.
war. I've played it the Roaring Twenties. I've played it in the Wild Weird West. There's one setting of it where you are cavemen during the Ice Age hunting mammoths, and it's just same rule system. So much fun.
Yeah, the so that UA that came out, like all those races, they, I don't know which happened first, and they probably know in the chat, but they all are similar to the races from Star Frontiers. And I don't know if
Mhm.
Star Frontiers races were inspired the Spelljammer races or the other way around. So like I seen like all the old heads like speculating about Star Frontiers when they saw that out. But I'm like, I'm pretty sure they're just doing Spelljammer.
Like I know the hippo race
Yeah,
was a thing. Thrycreen is a race that is coming back. I don't know how I feel about the jelly race.
yeah,
Uh, 'Cause it's got a lot going for it. Just reading all these awesome little abilities for it versus the hippo guy who's just big.
he's just big and strong. Yeah,
He's just big and strong. Of course, I guess sometimes you need that.
yeah. Well, yeah. The gift didn't get any like flashy abilities. That's for sure. Their abilities, but I feel like they got abilities that tended to be more like consistent.
Mm.
Like you're probably going to use them more often and they would come up. So I don't know. It kind of worked out. But I love the my favorite part about that is they worked in the internet joke into the GIF. So for that alone, it works.
I'm hoping they bring more stuff with the GIF in. I was actually having a conversation with somebody last night about illithids. It's one thing I've never actually fought in a game, but I want to say canonically they're from the end of time and like travel back in time and like they're trying to build their civilization back up and like they are far more in depth than just squid people that eat brains.
Yeah. Well, aliens.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
you know, Gygax had to figure out how to put his aliens in, and I don't know, he might have just stole those. There was definitely a couple monsters he just straight up stole, and
Oh,
might
I'm
have gotten in
sure. I'm
trouble with
sure.
trouble for it.
I know Pathfinder did that a lot too. Especially if you start getting into the later books, there's so much stuff that's just fan service. There's an archetype for a fighter that, you can throw a shield and it ricochets and hits other targets and comes back to you. Or
Oh
like
yeah,
just straight up kaiju. And yeah, there was a lot of fan service towards the end. Oh, somebody just mentioned Dark Sun.
yeah,
That's another one that I've heard a little bit about, and it sounds really, really interesting. Like I think
yeah. I
all
don't see that
halflings
one
are.
making a return.
No, that's probably a little dark. Like weren't halflings cannibals in Dark Sun?
There was a lot of slavery going on. It was brutal. Like that game had what was called a character tree,
Okay.
and so the concept was you start it with three characters because you're not probably gonna need them,
Okay.
and not only that, you started at third level,
Okay.
and it was like one of the first times they did that. Yeah, so yeah, and everything was psionic. So like even like the plants were psionic.
That's something I hope they start bringing more and more into 5e is psionics.
But and then like the thing, yeah. Hopefully, they seem to really be struggling with trying to figure that out. But the the other thing was like one like that was the main thing with psionics in that world, and everything was brutal. You didn't have metal, uh, and it was just funny because plants would kill you. It was also a really good. The books that, at least I remember them being really good. I don't know if they still are really good or not. It's not exactly like high literature.
One of those things that is just through the glasses of nostalgia seems so much greater than it was.
But
I just
never go back. Never go back is my motto.
I don't know. I think there's a really good basis for psionics. I love the way that Pathfinder handled it. Um, i.e., so to cast a spell, a normal arcane, divine, whatever have you spell, you either had verbal, somatic, or material components. With psionics, uh, they switched it to thought, emotion, and there was something else. I don't remember what the something else is off the top of my head, which was neat in that if you're bound and gagged, you could still cast some of your spells because I mean they're coming from the power of your mind. You should be
Yeah.
able to. But the trade-off was if you were feared, confused, anything like affecting you mentally, nauseated, that would affect your ability to cast spells. I thought that was a really interesting concept.
Oh yeah, yeah. I guess that would make sense. Anything that addles your brain.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I guess the other thing that was brought up in the chat is the thing that made Dark Sun so iconic was Brahms' artwork, right? Like that really brought that alive. You just knew when you were looking at something from Dark Sun, and same thing with Planescape too. Like I don't know if you've looked at any of that because Tony D'Arlizzi did the art for that, so they were just so distinctive.
So I never got a chance to play with Planescape, but it's another one of them that sounds amazing. Um, was it Cyberpunk? That's another one that sounds really, really cool that
Yeah.
I've never had. Cyberpunk seems like dark, gritty Starfinder.
Yeah, well, so we played a Shadowrun game, but we didn't use the Shadowrun system. We used Cipher system and just hacked it and kind of just used the lore from Shadowrun. It's the mechanics just weren't appealing to us, and it's so like super heavy and crunchy. And also some of that stuff's kind of funny because like when Cyberpunk kind of came out and what they were like speculating what the technology would be, and we're like in some regards we're like past the technology now.
I'm trying to think of some of the other ones. So we took I think it was Vampire the Masquerade, or it was one of the White Wolf games. I've never actually played Vampire the Masquerade, but we took the rules from it and kind of extrapolated and made our own like zombie apocalypse game for a little while.
Oh, nice.
Um,
I think they have every version but that that one for White Wolf.
I I'm curious to play. Never tried it. I think it's what like a D10 system.
Yeah, it's well, it was a D10 pool system. I don't know what it is now because they came out with some a new version. I haven't dabbled in that in a long time.
It seems interesting. I'm as I'm getting more entrenched in the tabletop RPG world, not just the Pathfinder slash D&D world. I'm trying to explore a little bit more. A good friend of mine on TikTok introduced me to Zweihander, which is a really interesting one. The Burning Wheel is another one that's really, really interesting. And in those, like, you don't pick a class, you pick a profession, and you kind
Yeah,
of level up and branch out from that.
yeah, they're more skill based instead of class
Hmm.
based.
And I think, like with Call of Cthulhu, they're D100 systems.
Yeah,
So when you put skills into something, for something like climbing a tree, you may have a base of 10, but you put points into it, and say you have 65 skill in climbing. You just roll your D100, and as long as you get under a 65, you got it.
yeah. What is it? Maximum Apocalypse is a D100 under system where it's like you would add some things together and that would give you your number, your target to roll under. And then
Mm,
like your crits would be like if you rolled, 50% or
yeah,
25%.
yeah. I think in Call of Cthulhu they're called impales, but yeah, same thing. Absolute same thing. And if you
Yeah.
succeeded, you don't level up in Call of Cthulhu, but if you crit on any of your abilities at the end of the and survived, um, at the end of the session, you could roll to try to improve. You'd put a little tick mark in those, and you could roll to try to improve those.
Yeah. I tend to stay away from like systems that already do the genre that I'm playing.
Mm,
Like I'm not like averse to playing them. Like I'm much less likely to play in a Pathfinder game because I'm like, well, if I'm going to play fantasy, high fantasy, I'm just going to play D&D,
mm.
or So usually when I'm like branching out, I'm looking for other genres to explore. Like I really
Not
don't
just a
want to
different rule
play
set.
space. Yeah, I don't want to play sci-fi D&D. I'd rather play a system that was built for that.
That's fair. I think it makes it easier to disconnect and play a different character and just entirely different game systems. You're not getting the two mixed and mingled.
And also too, like that, it's that, and sometimes like systems aren't designed well to do other things.
That's fair.
Like, I mean, one of the questions we've gotten, time and time again over the years is like, how do I do X with D&D? And we're just like, I don't know, play one of these 5 games that were meant to do X. Like Star Wars, you would get that question. I'm like, there are like 5 different Star Wars games. Why don't you pick one of those instead of like, rebuilding the wheel?
That's fair.
So,
I think we also have the advantage of time behind us because we've been playing for quite a while and have had a chance to amass our collection of all these games that have come and risen and fallen, and new
yeah.
games have come out. Because it some of the stuff I was trying to find a couple other books for Pathfinder not long ago. Um, they're not in print anymore. It is very difficult to find those books now and pay less than $100 for them.
Oh no, are you a completionist?
Oh, I am.
That's bad. That's
I
really bad.
wish I had my. I'll get my camera set up somewhere else for the next time I chat with somebody. But yeah, I have every Pathfinder book. I don't have all the adventure paths, but I want them. Same thing with D&D. As soon as it comes out, it belongs on the shelf. The shelf's incomplete as soon as something comes out and I don't have it.
I feel that. I'm getting less that way, especially with D&D, because I'm just like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this book, but then I'm just gonna use D&D Beyond anyway. So, so it feels like a moot point.
That's I think my problem is I was starting out with home games
Yeah.
instead of D&D Beyond. I didn't start playing online until about a year ago. So all of my investment has been in physical books so far, and I really really don't want to go back and re-buy every if I find,
Yeah.
$500 on the side of the road, maybe. But
Yeah. Yeah. I guess like we got into D&D Beyond pretty early, and they're one of our major main sponsors. So that also makes it a lot easy. But like when we were looking at buying the legendary bundle, as Nerdarchy, be like, this is so much easier. We'll just have it all digital.
mhm,
Um, but I was like, well, before we do that, why don't we reach out to the D&D people and see if we can't work with them? Which that was
mhm.
an even better move. But like, we would have bought it anyway, just
Yeah.
because you know, just because we enjoy having the tools. Like Ted would have bought physical copies and digital copies. There's
Mhm.
plenty of people that buy the physical books and then they'll whatever their BTT of choices, they'll buy it there as well.
Yeah.
It was always a weird argument. It's like I bought it on Roll20 in physical books and Fantasy Grounds. You want me to buy it again on D&D Beyond? I'm like, did you even listen to what you just said?
No, and I love D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond has been absolutely phenomenal. Especially like with the Twitch integration, and um there's a plugin that we use called Beyond 20
Oh yeah,
for some of
that
our games. That's so great.
it is
You just
great. It
click on your
forces
character sheet and it rolls.
it allows me to not learn Roll20, and I love it. So
I will say I wish that like when you buy a textbook, like
yeah,
a college textbook, there was a one-time use code in there that would
yeah,
give you, I don't know, at least like 50% off buying the digital version or something.
yeah, yeah. I get that. I guess the problem is though, like it's like they're not the same. Like people, they have trouble dissociating that they're two separate companies.
Oh yeah,
And
and I get that. I get that.
but D&D Beyond did bring down the price on you know on all the other platforms.
Mm,
And they kind of like, and I know because I haven't spoken to Adam Bradford, and he's not on the D&D Beyond team anymore. But I know he had to fight really hard to make that happen. So
yeah, I had a buddy of mine, and I scum off of his account. He he got out of the army years and years and years ago, and they finally like paid him back for disability and everything. So he got this huge chunk of cash, and the first thing he did was went
uh,
out and bought a house, or like a brand new house. And the second thing he did was bought every single thing on Roll20 and made a campaign for us to play around with.
nice. So let's shift gears a little bit and talk
Yeah.
about how did you get started Tick-Tocking?
So I had a little bit of free time.
You
I've
look a
tried
little older
doing
than most of the people on that app. I'm just saying.
it's it's because I party hard. No, I had more free time than I knew what to do with. I've tried streaming. I tried YouTube for a little bit. TikTok was a nice platform because it's just at the time 15-second little clips, and then if you do enough of those, eventually get like 1 minute clips, and now I've got
Yeah.
3 minute clips. Um, with my job and everything that I do now, I don't have a lot of time to sit down and do editing and production and so many other things. TikTok is a great way to make bite-sized content that I can just throw something together real quick. So I started out with, like I said, like 15-second videos are the longest thing you could make at first. So I started doing these 15-second campaign ideas, and I just in 15 seconds throw out this very vague kind of construct of an idea, just so somebody could like pick it up, take it, and run with it. And those started picking up, and people enjoyed those, and then it started growing a little bit from there.
What is your favorite kind of content to make over there?
I really love, and I'm fortunate that I've got a decent following now. There's, there's two types of content that you make, at least on TikTok. There's the one that you know is going to get you followers and that's
Uh,
going to get likes, and then now that I'm at about 30,000 followers, I can mix and match that with stuff that is content that I want to do. I'm doing a series on the classes of Pathfinder, and it's talking about how the mechanics are different. And those are my longer videos; they're 3 minutes long. And with the TikTok algorithm, there's a percentage of how much people watch it. Like if they only watch like the first 10, 15 seconds and scroll by, it doesn't get boosted in the algorithm. So I make those and I enjoy them. I love talking about how rangers in Pathfinder were beasts, and how bards had like inspire courage was an AoE effect. It wasn't just handing somebody a d6. So I love making those, but I had to make sure to intersperse them every once in a while with putting on my strong voice or something that I know is gonna get clicks.
yeah, I mean it's tough appeasing the algorithm and also doing things that make you happy at the same time. They're not always the same.
They're not. They are not at all. I did. Somebody asked me to do a reading of a poem the other day in one of my voices. I do a lot of. I try to incorporate different voices into my D&D, and I try to do different voices on the TikToks. And somebody asked me to try reading poetry, so I did Emily Dickinson's. Uh, oh God, because I could not stop for death, and I loved it. I had fun doing that, but because I used the word death, TikTok like from orbit just bombarded me. I think
Yeah.
I think most of my videos, on average, even the poor ones, get at least 2,000 views. I think that's sitting at like 200 views right now.
Uh,
It will never go higher than that.
you have to replace those words with things like unlife.
Because I would not wait for unalive.
Oh
He
yeah,
kindly waited for me. Yeah, it doesn't hit the same.
yeah, yeah.
You have to be super. Yeah, there are key words that I've discovered over time. If you mention, nobody's watching it. Nobody's gonna get a chance. So I really enjoy doing those.
You should do like a George Carlin, 7 words you can't say on TikTok.
Get all like 6 views. So yeah, it's death. You can't say death.
uh,
You can't say donation or charity. Like there, you can't ask people for money. You can't talk about death, and you can't show a knife, whether it's real or fake.
yeah.
Anything that looks like blood, I got around that. As I film little skits now, and I go the Alfred Hitchcock method by filming in black and white, and then
Uh,
I just use like chocolate syrup or barbecue sauce, and it looks like blood, like in black and white. That's how blood looks,
yeah.
but it's tastier.
How do you enjoy doing like the more entertainer kind of stuff?
I enjoy it. I I play my favorite class is Bard. I enjoy an audience. I enjoy a stage, and this it gives me the ability to do so. So it's my little. I chase the dopamine. It gives me my audience. My wife. So I'm a huge extrovert. My wife's a huge introvert, and she's enjoyed me being on TikTok because normally when I come home, I have all these things I have to talk about and things I want to bring her
She's
into,
like,
stories I
"Honey,
want to
here's your
tell.
phone. Go in the other room."
Yes, get it out. Let the world hear this.
Yeah,
I need to decompress.
yeah. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, so like it's funny. Like we have a TikTok account,
Mm,
and like it's like you do this stuff, and it's like a new social media platform pops up, and you're like, should I be doing this? So we get the account, we look at it. We used to do skits, and so I just like cut off the skits and threw some of those up there. And then and I was like, I don't know. I like TikTok, but I'm more of a lurker than anything. Sometimes I'll comment and stuff. Um, I love the short form content, and
mm,
like when it comes to RPGs, because I do it all the time, I just have lost interest in watching long videos about it.
mm.
But I do enjoy like the different takes over on TikTok, and then it's always fun to see like, oh, like their community is now talking about things that the YouTube community was talking about 5 years ago, and probably the forum community was talking about 5 years before that. Before YouTube's, like it's just like the circular nature of of these topics. So it's kind of
Mm.
like fun to see that grow,
And
and
I
then
think
and also the fact that it just skews so much younger.
I think it does skew a lot longer, younger rather. But I think the duration of the videos that you can upload also alters the kind of content that you guys that you can put out on it.
Yeah.
Um, I tried to do, and I think I only did one or two videos on it, and it flopped so hard. A video on like talking about the fundamentals of like 5e and how to play and what the dice mean, but it's you can't cram that into 3 minutes.
It's hard.
Um,
And no one on I don't feel like people on TikTok want a 3 minute video. Like
they
honestly, like
don't.
creators that I like, they get 3 minute videos and I'm like, I'm done with you.
Yeah, like my 3 minute videos are the ones that I want to make. They're not the
Yeah.
ones that because I mean you're sitting on your phone, you're flicking, you want it's instant gratification. But if I want to hear like a deep dive review into this new book that just came out or something like that, I'm going to come to you guys or like some of my other folks on YouTube because that's what it's designed for. You can make what like 10-hour long videos on YouTube.
Something like they I think they've ones that just like I think you can find like live streams that have been going for like days, right?
I believe so,
For some
yeah.
of the weird stuff where they'll loop like crazy long stuff, yeah.
But this is my dopamine hit. Got it
Yeah.
good. Moving along.
It's funny because I've brought a lot of different TikTokers on, and then like a bunch of them are like my son's age, and it's funny to see them do see everyone doing stuff on there, and then I look at my son, I'm like, you're a dumbass, when he does something, and like you said, when you bring on these younger people, you kind of get like these glimpses, just because like when we're young, we're all just kind of dumb,
Mm.
and like we don't have the experience.
I
Uh,
like to say that I haven't gotten wiser as I've gotten older. I've just run out of dumb things to do.
yeah, yeah. I mean, especially for dudes, like I think from like 18 to 25, I had a boss that would say this: from 18 to 25, we're all basically a-holes,
Oh
right?
yeah,
Until you grow
100%.
out of it,
100%.
with a rare
Uh,
exception.
your brain is still is still forming up until the age of 25. And I am a strong component of that. You don't know who you are until you hit 25 because I sure did. I'm a totally different person since then. I've tried to stay a little bit on top of it because I am in the Navy.
Yeah.
So the bulk of the people who like work directly for me are in that like 18, 19 to like early 20s era. So I'm trying not to have that like disappointed dad energy in the
the
office where like
the
I
old
just
man
don't know.
syndrome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, you're all on your Insta chats and your snapograms. when I was your age. I'm trying not to be that guy, but
Yeah.
I've been in 16 years now. And while it hasn't happened yet, I know in about 2 years, I'm going to have people that are joining the Navy who were born after I went to boot camp, and that terrifies me.
Yeah, that's crazy. The I was gonna say something, but I totally lost my train of thought. No, no. Oh, you know what it is. It's like I remember now being being younger and working, working in a lumber yard, and like occasionally, like you'd be sent out to like work with one of the drivers and help them out or whatever, and they're always older, and you're like running around, jumping off the truck, and they're like, "Don't do that. You're gonna regret it." You're like, "Screw you, old man. I'm gonna live forever." And now, like, all my joints hurt, my knees are shot, my back is done.
Yeah, so same. Like
Yeah.
3 points of contact is the rule. Whenever you're climbing into or out of a truck, there at all times you either have 2 hands and a foot or 2 feet and a
Mm,
hand, like going up and going down. But yeah, 19, 20-year-old kid leaping off the back of the truck, this, that, and the other. And it was the old guys telling me not to do that. And
yeah.
now I wake up and I can't get out of bed without my knees making sound effects.
Yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Like I've been stretching for months to finally be able to touch my toes again.
There is I've learned several things as I've gotten older. One is that I can sleep funny and ruin myself for days,
Uh,
and that there's a point that nobody tells you about, and I think it hits in about your mid 30s, where you just wake up one morning a little bit tired, and you just stay that way.
yeah. This sounds about right. It's like
Ah,
in the 30s your body starts to degrade, but in the 40s you really feel the results of that. Is
oh, I'm
been my
sure.
experience.
Oh, I'm sure. I will say there have been benefits to growing older. I've advanced in my career to the point where if a new D&D book comes out, I can just go buy it.
Yeah.
Um, I've I've mentally and socially evolved past the point where I care if other people know that I play D&D. Like when I was younger, like it was you must keep it secret, you must keep it
Yes, yeah.
safe. Now I don't care. I'll wear a D&D shirt to work and just look and see who gives me a knowing nod.
Yeah, well now it's like now you're like signaling,
Yeah.
attracting new players. For me,
Come
like I
to
guess
me.
the turning point for me when I came out of the D&D closet, the RPG closet, was like when I started making money doing it. Then I didn't like care about talking about it, and also like other people, like they'll look at you weird, but then when you're like, oh, like I make money doing this, then all of a sudden, like they understand that, and then they start to
Yeah.
understand, oh, wait a minute, you have a weird hobby and you can also make money doing that, right?
Mm,
and and then you see like the recognition in their eyes going, and especially at the time, like I was working towards doing this full time, and they're like, I'm still gonna have this soul crushing shitty job, and you're gonna do something that you like. Now, the soul crushing job paid way better, but I don't really miss it.
no, I'm with you 100% on that. I've so like I said, I've been in the Navy for 16 years. And I'm in on the old school retirement system where you do 20 and here's half your paycheck for the rest of your life.
Yeah.
So part of doing TikTok and stuff, I've wanted to get into voice acting. I've wanted to, my dream is at 2 o'clock in the morning when you can't fall asleep, you turn on the TV and you hear my voice telling you about the elusive sloth. Like that's my goal. That's what I
Yeah.
want to do with my life. So I started doing this to like just tinker around with it. Um, so that I don't have to get that soul crushing job
Yeah.
afterwards. I will say this. One, and I
See my earlier
apologize.
statement about being a dumbass in my late teens, early 20s.
I will say this, and I will go ahead and apologize to whatever manager of a local McDonald's there is wherever I happen to retire. When I get out of the Navy,
Yeah.
the first thing I want to do is
Oh,
get
do
a
you want to be the
job.
old guy that goes to McDonald's every morning for the coffee?
No, 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 no. I want to get a job at McDonald's
Oh.
and then quit.
Oh.
I'll finish my shift. I don't want to screw over anybody. But
Yeah.
as soon as that first shift is over, I just want to take off my apron and go, boom, I'm not coming back because I haven't had the opportunity to do that ever.
I guess. I mean, I did a little time at McDonald's in my
I,
youth.
my first job was Hardee's flipping burgers. But
Yeah.
even still, I've never quit a job. The military is not one you can quit. Well, I mean,
Uh
you can, but it is highly frowned upon.
yeah. I guess I've worked so many jobs. Oh my god, I can't even list them all.
I haven't. I worked at Hardee's flipping burgers.
Yeah.
I was a mall cop, and then I joined the Navy. That was it. And I've been doing this for a minute. I have no idea what a job interview is like. I was talking to my wife the other day. Like she was applying for a job, and all it said for salary was competitive. I was like, what does that mean? Oh, it means you have to like barter,
It
and
means they're
like,
trying to screw you and pay you as little as possible.
well, also that, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I've
Yeah.
never had to do that. I don't know
Oh
what
yeah. They
labor and
just told you
skills are
what you're
worth.
getting, and then like you get more eventually.
Well, yeah, there's a pay chart. I know that if I've
Yeah.
been in X amount of years and I'm this pay grade, oh, that's how much I make. Like the civilian world terrifies me.
Yeah, you're gonna get those joys in the next few years.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Not looking forward to it. I am looking forward to not
I
having
wanted
to
to
wake up
check
at
in
3
with you.
o'clock
I
in the
want to
morning
see what's
though.
going on. Like, how's filling out handing in resumes going? You're gonna be like, I made this whole resume. I hand it to them. Then they hand me this. Then they hand me a application to fill out and they want all the information I just handed them on the resume.
No. That tracks for the military. We have like Excel spreadsheets to track other Excel spreadsheets, and then we have a
Yeah,
meeting to talk about the spreadsheet. So that tracks. I'm tracking that one. I'll just be able to grow a beard when I do
yeah, yeah. Nice.
it.
So, what is the first thing you want to do when you get out? Like, you want to do something in this space, or you're going to go for a regular civilian job?
So I think it all depends. Like especially, I've always said that I wanted to do the voice acting thing, or I wanted to, get some kind of, entertainment position. And until like just recently in the last 6 months, I had no idea how to do that. I will say TikTok has opened me up to so many amazing opportunities. We would not be talking right now if I had kept streaming Pokemon Let's Plays on Twitch.
You're
So I
probably
mean,
right, but hey, I'm sure more people want to watch Pokemon than D&D though.
yeah, but I enjoy this so much more.
Yeah.
Um, I've streaming the games that I'm doing now. The one on Sunday with Creative Crits. That's done by an actual production company, so I'm working with an actual crew of people. Like that's something I never would have had the opportunity to
Oh,
do.
nice.
So, like I said, I'm just hoping that just what happens. Keep exploring within my space. And yeah, if push comes to shove, my wife makes more money than I do, so I'll retire and I'll just be a trophy husband.
Bam.
I will run things around that house like the dishwasher and the vacuum cleaner.
Yeah, I would trade working for a sugar mama any day of the week. Workers for suckers.
What but the military retirement system, with the old school system at least, means that as long as I go somewhere, like if I tried to get back to Virginia, my mortgage and all my utilities are just paid for. Like I'll pull in enough that I can meet all of my life's basic needs. So I can go for a job that I want to have,
Yeah.
not a job that I need to have.
Like, you're
I'm
interviewing
looking,
them, they're not interviewing you. Be
yeah,
like, what can you do for me? Like, what is this going to be like?
I
Uh,
can,
it's a big difference when you don't need it.
yeah. So I can skip that whole bussing tables, starving artist stage where I'm going to every single, audition and staying up till 2 o'clock in the morning. I can just, I like this product or this project. I'll try out for it. This one doesn't suit me. I'll just wait till something else comes up. I'm looking forward to that. Freedom is what I'm looking forward to.
So what stream games are you in now?
So I'm streaming two different ones. Twitch.tv/ the Trauma Club is ours.
Okay.
And that's so Phil, I wish he was more involved on things where I could plug him. He's my DM. We started, that was my first Roll20 game. We started playing, we just had our like 1 year anniversary of playing every single Friday, like a week or so ago. And and that's when I'm playing Bastos the Magnificent. The Tiefling part was just perfect. Um, One of our players joined the Coast Guard, so he was going to be gone for a while. So I picked up playing or running Curse of Strahd. So every other weekends or every other Friday, like this Friday, it's his game. Next Friday, be Curse of Strahd, back and forth, back and forth. On Sundays, I because of TikTok, I got invited to play a game with twitch.tv/creative crits. And that's once like it's an actual company. I don't know how much you follow like Critical Role and like the cosplayers there, but we had Jenny D, who's a phenomenal cosplay artist. Like she came in as a guest star for the game. I think we had like some larger names in the industry watching. That one I'm playing Get Fizzlock Goblin Extraordinaire, because artificers are kind of becoming one of my favorite classes. But yeah, it's been super super fun. Those are my two biggies right now.
You said creative crits.
Creative crits, no spaces, and the Trauma Club. Those are those are my two.
Nice.
So yeah, Friday nights. I believe it's like 7 p.m. Pacific. We do the Trauma Club, and Creative Crits is Sundays at I think it's 4 p.m. Eastern, 1 p.m. Pacific. Sounds about right.
Ooh. Is and you said they've got like a professional
Yeah,
production.
yeah. Like our DM has been a producer in Colorado for years. So they've got like cameras set up. They have like full like they printed out all of our minis. They've got
Uh
everybody's in costume. That was new for me, having to we kind of like all agreed to dress up like our characters. Had I known we were doing that, I would not have picked a goblin. I might have gone very human because then I don't have to like paint all of this green.
yeah, yeah. That makes sense.
Especially when the only makeup experience I have is putting on camouflage face paint, which we have just decided that is what Get Fitzlock looks like. He's modeled green, black, and brown.
Oh, nice. All that military experience finally being put to use.
Finally.
What did you do with your military training? I became a goblin on a live stream game. I mean, it seems like a worthy pursuit to me. So
Yeah, it worked.
we were like supposed to do a convention.
Mm.
So the end of 2019, we're like, everything we do is based around this one company and their product. That seems like a bad business model. So we're like, let's do an event company. We want to throw a convention, celebrate our first Kickstarter, have a big party. End of 2019. So we were going to do it 2020 October. So you can imagine how that went. But our ambassadors for the convention were Jenny D, Satine Phoenix, and Guy Slanders from How to Be a Great GM. So I don't know if we'll be able to get all of them back together when we finally do decide to decide to do it, because we're just waiting for things to open up. And definitely we don't want to try our hand at our first convention in these trying times. So, but yeah, and we had like almost every like big YouTuber that was out at the time was kind of like signed on to be there. So
I, I enjoy that we've both worked with Jenny D. It makes me feel like I'm finally getting somewhere.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we've had her on the show, but I wouldn't say we've worked with her. We almost worked with her. We're so close. Yeah, but yeah, that's a long way of saying Jenny D is great.
She's absolutely phenomenal. I felt really really bad. She played a halfling bard named Clover, who spoke exclusively in rhymes, and it was amazing. I was playing Get Fizzlock, Goblin Artificer.
Yeah.
So we gotten captured, and because we're both like 3 feet tall, they chained us together. So Artificer trying to do the smart thing. I see chicken bones. I know there's charcoal, and we go near a cave, and I know there's guano in there. So I can get saltpeter, I can get sulfur, I can get charcoal, I can make gunpowder. So I had her distract the guards as we moved closer and closer to this little cave, and then I just shoved her pockets full of bat guano. And like, there's this amazing cosplay artist, like a name that, like, I'm sure she has millions of followers across all these different platforms. I'm just like trying to crawl my way up on TikTok. It's the first time I've ever met her. I'm standing in the shadow of giants.
Stuffing their pockets
my character
with
think
bat
of
guano.
is stuffing your pockets with guano.
Sounds like a great time. Challenger says Becca uses a blue filter for her D&D character. I also know, like, so there was a YouTuber. He's got a handful of videos, Locrius, that he hasn't done anything in a while. But if you search D&D's Deadliest, he did these great videos, and so his shtick was like he was in a band, and the band was like from another planet or something. They were like aliens, and like they would all dress up. And so I know, like, he would just use filters and lighting to make himself all blue. I thought he painted himself, and he's got this like really weird distinctive voice that I thought like was a voice, but it's just his voice.
So I have this super cheapo ring light that kind of has a blue. No, I'm gonna have to paint my face.
Yeah.
Not getting around that.
Not getting around it.
Getting around it.
Gunpowder that transmits diseases. Yeah. So we were just past the hour mark. Final thoughts before we head on out?
I appreciate you having me on here. Again, like I feel like I'm standing in the shadow of giants. I promise I won't put anything in your pockets.
Oh, that's good.
No, thank you so much for having me. I've really enjoyed just bouncing old guy thoughts off of each other.
Yeah, well, thanks for coming on. I really appreciate it. As always, folks, links are down in the description. Check out Hello Operator across the interwebs. Stalk them in the good way. And until next time, stay nerdy.
Have fun.